Well, down below, that was quite a shock to me.
Over to Ron. Over to Ron. Over to Ron.
Well, thanks, Larry.
Over to Ron.
Well, we decided, Dean and I, was because I'm going to keep this show separate, and we're going to do this one, and then we're going to do our regular We Not Me one later on today at 4 p.m. Central, because I firmly believe that I, as a human being, I cannot just go from talking about Ron and everything that's happened and then just go over like nothing's happened in another show, in the same show. I can't do it. I mean, I've got a heart too, and these guys do too. And this is I mean, when Dina told me this, and when we called Phil and talked to Phil on the phone, I mean, it's enough to it should piss us all off, is what it should do. It really should. So, without further ado, here is the man, Phillip Tourney. Hey, Phil, are you there? Oh. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. See, I mean, this is because there's a lot that we're going to go over today with him. We have a couple videos also. Hey, there he is.
There we go.
Hey, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Jason. Thank you for having me on. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, anytime. And yeah, this one, this is very heartbreaking. So if you'd like, if you could, tell the people at home exactly, what findings you had about Ron and Chaplin, and what actually happened.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the information as much as I can, what I understand to be true. Ron Kukal, of course, he was the chaplain of the LVA for 40 years plus. And that's when I really got acquainted with Ron, because I didn't know him aboard ship. He was a spy and I was in engineering, but we became very close friends. He worked at the VA hospital and we talked quite a bit. Even when he was working, he'd give me a call, or he's worried about something or whatever, just a chit chat, and try to plan a strategy to get the truth out about the USS Liberty and what really happened. But throughout the years, we talked and talked and talked. I can't tell you how many times, thousands, tens of thousands of times. And Ron always told me, and as I told him, he says, Phil, I would never, ever, ever commit suicide. That's what he told me. And I told him the same thing. I would never do that either. Absolutely not. No way. But the Sheridan Police Department concluded that his death was a suicide. He had gotten shot in the gut, missed his heart, and then he supposedly finished himself off with a bullet into his head, into his mouth. And now Ron was 85 years old, And he did have some problems, some back problems, and he was in pain and stuff like that. But maybe the new medication they gave him or whatever, but in my heart of hearts, I will never believe that that he offed himself. I just don't believe it. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and he did. But he told me he never would, and so I take him at his word, Jason. And that's pretty much wraps it up. Myself and Mo Shaver went to his service at the Baptist Church, and the pastor was a little bit worried that that I or my shipmate Mo, which is another dear friend, would say something anti-Semitic. We were there to honor Ron, not to pump our chest or bloviate about anything, but to honor our shipmate. And that's exactly what we did. It was a very solemn service, and the next day they buried him in the Black Hills National Monument Cemetery there. So he's at rest there right now. God rest his soul.
Yeah, I mean, when Dina told me that he committed suicide, I was like, wait, what? I'm like, he's a chaplain. I mean, I don't see a man of God doing anything like that, especially after everything that all of you have endured over the past numerous decades. I won't stand for it. There's no way. I personally, I don't buy it at all. Because if anything like that was going to happen, he would have reached out to one of you first. Because he would have gone back to, one of you, because you guys were all, like, you guys have been in this since 67, So if something was happening between any of you, that you could trust, your next man. So he would have called you up and said, hey, I'm having some problems here, not just out of the clear blue. I personally don't see that happening. And let's face it, especially when you were at the funeral service and they were worried about saying anything anti-Semitic. It's like, well, if the truth is what we're going to call anti-Semitic now, well, then where's the border? Where's the line get cut off? Because the facts are the facts. They have everything's got to be exposed. And I just man, this one just I just was, man, because we even have it and we're gonna play at the end. When we signed off and he left us with a prayer, it just breaks your heart that was the last time that you talked to him, and it's like it's. I mean, for me, I'm even having a hard time just getting the words out because I'm just so, like, I'm pissed. I'm disappointed in the whole military, like our whole government. Not even disappointed, just ashamed in it. I'm completely ashamed of this whole entire government because there's no way that after all this time that this is still being, like, held back from people.
Well, the cover-up is started day one when they tried to sink us and couldn't, and they're probably still scratching their heads over that one. How couldn't they? Why couldn't they sink a World War II old Victory hull ship with what they did to us in a 2-hour period? Then our government leaves us out there for 17 hours. 17 hours when help was only 40 or 50 minutes away. And never even sent anything to help us. They just left us out there alone when they knew we were under attack. And then told us to shut up about it. We go to jail or worse, or fine you, or whatever they wanted to do. hey man, we were just happy to get rid with our lives, and but 34 of them didn't, and you know, that's why we do this. That's why I do it for sure. Those guys didn't have a chance, you know, growing up. Really, I mean, they were all kids, 18, 19, 20, 21, you know, young guys. So it's been a burden, and our government continues to cover it up. In fact, this is buried 1,000 feet deeper than the Epstein files. That's how damning it is. Because the plan was to get us into World War III, and they almost succeeded.
Yep. And because of course here we deal with documents, right? And going through this Ramron commission again, that Colonel Ramron from the IDF and all that, and what I could do, I could even read this whole thing, because the discrepancies in this and the flat out lies, you know, saying that, oh, well, you were outrunning a torpedo ship. It's like, how's that?
Well,
You know?
that's impossible.
Yeah. And it just goes without saying, but what I like to do now is I actually have his obituary, and I'm gonna go ahead and read it, because you know, I'm gonna read it all in full, because he deserves this and his family deserves this as well. So Ron George Kukal passed away on June 21st, 2025 in his home at the age of 85. Ron was born in Rushville, Nebraska on October 15th, 1939 to George and Ruby Butterfield Kukal. He graduated from Rushville High School in 1957. He went on to serve in the Navy from 1961 to 1967, working for the NSA as a communications technician and supervisor. His last duty was aboard the USS Liberty, June 8, 1967. He was a first-class petty officer. He's awarded the Purple Heart, National Defense Service Medal, Navy Good Conduct Medal, Navy Presidential Unit Citation, and Combat Action Ribbons. He's given a special ceremony by his shipmates as an honorary chief petty officer in Kalispell, Montana. He also co-authored a book with Phillip Tourney and Philip Nelson called Remember the Liberty. He moved to Sheridan in 1979 to work at a VA hospital as an electrician until retiring in 2000. He was married to Linda and had 4 children, Jared, Ron, Melissa, and Jason. On October 12, 1991, he married the love of his life, Connie Mullen Kukal, and gained another son and daughter, Mike and Linda Grover. He had a goofy charm and a strong-headed spirit that made him unforgettable. Never one to back down from a challenge, he arm wrestled every grandson and just about anyone else who was willing to take him on. He loved to laugh, to tease, and to give everyone a hard time in the most loving way, claiming it built tough skin. He never stopped fighting for the truth. His door was always open and the porch light was always on, a quiet invitation for anyone who needed a place to feel at home. The cookie jar stayed full, not just for visitors, for himself too. He had a sweet tooth he never bothered to hide. He was deeply devoted to his family, always finding ways to spoil his grandkids, whether it was helping them buy their first car or making sure college was covered. He believed in taking care of his own and did so with quiet pride and generosity. If someone nearby had a baby, he was the first to ask to hold it, cradling each little one like a gift. By his side always was his little Pomeranian Cricket. That tiny dog was more than a pet. She was his shadow, his companion, and his helper through so many chapters of life. He took Cricket to more states and on more vacations than his own kids, some might say. Music was in his soul. Listened to big band, jazz, and more. He played boogie woogie on the piano while trying to teach his granddaughters. He played saxophone in high school, and later he tried to play songs with his grandson. He liked country music that was old as dirt, just like him. He danced and would make comments about how they just don't make music the same anymore. Isn't that the truth? He lived without judgment and reminded us often, if you haven't walked in my shoes, don't be eager to judge my decision. It wasn't just something he said. It was how he lived, and with heart, humor, and a stubborn streak that made him impossible not to love. At an early age, Ron went to church, and he would talk about how his dad would whistle to him in the garden. However, he didn't accept Jesus into his heart until he was older, around 48 years in age. Accepting God changed his life. He played the organ and piano in a few different churches in Sheridan, Wyoming. He also was in a worship group at the Wesleyan Church. He was ecstatic to help put in new electricity in their new addition to their church. Ron always wanted to share his faith in Jesus with whoever who would listen. He was the chaplain for the Liberty Fellowship Association. He was brother, dad, Daddy Ron, and Grandpa Ron to many people. He is survived by his wife Connie Kukal, his children, daughter-in-law Maggie Durr Grover, son-in-law DJ Dunow, Aunt Ruth Kukal, several cousins, brothers-in-law Edward, Betty, Roger, Gary, and Mary, and Paul Mullen, all from Michigan. Grandchildren, adopted grandchildren, shipmates of the USS Liberty, Liberty Fellowship, Kalispell, Montana, Mountain View Baptist Church, Custer, South Dakota, True News, many extended family members, close family friends, and so many more lives that he touched who will mourn his loss and carry on his memory. He's a true saint with a broken halo. Memorial donations are suggested USS Liberty, LVA Liberty Vets, P.O. Box 3000, Pawleys Island, South Carolina 29585, or to Liberty Fellowship, P.O. Box 10, Keela, Montana 59920. And we will have these in the show notes as well. We'll have these donation links if people want to donate in his honor. Online condolences may be made to www.sheridanfuneral.com. Arrangements are under care of Sheridan Funeral Home. A funeral service is at 2:00 p.m. on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025 at the Great Baptist Church with a light reception to follow the church. Ron will be laid to rest in the Black Hills National Cemetery in Sturgis, South Dakota on Thursday, July 3rd, 2025 at 10:00 a.m. with military honors. Online condolences may be made to www.sheridanfuneral.com. Man. Just, I mean, for the complete raw deal that you guys were dealt, I mean, everything that you guys have done since then has just been to get the truth out there and say, hey, we served, and we want everybody to know that this wasn't just some, sweep it under the rug act, or they invaded us, they attacked us. And there's no reason why anybody in the military or anybody now should let this go.
No, they shouldn't. And the really terrible part of this is our own government set us up. I mean, our own government set up their service members, 294 of them, to be sunk and slaughtered by a foreign government. And they continue the cover up. Our government is just as guilty of cold-blooded murder of their own men as the Zionist state. And it continues from LBJ right to Donald J. Trump to this day. And I've pleaded on several shows, probably yours too, I can't remember, for Donald Trump, to open up the files and let the world know the truth, and let's get this settled once for all. If this is so easy to explain, bring the survivors in front of Congress, which Congress has said they've had 5 investigations, they've never had none, nothing done. They're all a bunch of liars.
Yep.
It's a continuous lie. We were the only ship in American history to be refused help while under attack. The only one. And it's still a hard thing to get over. Even as I get older, I'm 70, I'll be 79 pretty quick. That, I wake up in the morning and think, Jesus, how in the hell did we survive that? But the only answer to that is Jesus Christ was there on our side. That's the only answer. And he's still with us. And, I know this show is about Ron, and it is. And his beautiful wife, Connie, too. What a sweetheart she is. She's strong, and what she's had to go through. I mean, it's just horrendous for her. But, she calls me her big brother. And I was a brother to Ron. He says, I never had any siblings, but you're my brother. Now I got a brother.
Yep.
So that's how tight we were. And he requested I speak at his funeral. And fortunately, I did, as well as Mo Schaefer, and we did the best we could. And it was live streamed. I think it's still, I've never seen it. I think it's still on, I don't know where, out there somewhere, probably YouTube or something. But I haven't looked at it. But yeah, this is, it's been a raw deal, and we're losing people. We lost Gary Barton, triplet, in just the last month, along with Ron. We're losing survivors left and right, you know. So pretty soon there's going to come days when there's none of us left, and that's what they're waiting for us, is to die out. I think this story is going to die out. But with like people like you and Dina, no, it's not going to die out. It's just going to get stronger.
Yeah, and because we're in this to fight for what's right. Now, if I look through this and saw that, you know, there's a lot of flaws and everything, I'd be like, you know, but there's no flaws on your side. The flaws are on their side. You know, blaming you guys for all this and saying, well, they didn't have a flag up. I'm like, now we know you're lying. Saying, oh, it was all, you know, the ship was all covered in smoke. We couldn't identify it. It's like, well, I guess when you guys made all those runs around it and they saw you saw the flag, you saw the GTR-5 on both sides, but then they're like, oh, well, we thought it was an Egyptian ship, so, and they just said, well, just hit it anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
it's Judaism is a satanic cult. That's all it is. The entire religion, it's all based off of Satanism, Antichrist. You know, I mean, even in the Bible, we were warned by Christ himself about the synagogue of Satan, and we still haven't learned. But I think all that's coming to an abrupt halt now.
That would be a blessing. You know, I think the world needs it, Jason. Not just America. The world needs it for this to stop, for the real truth to come out. But you know, you think about so many different other things. Like our government promised Epstein, they promised JFK, they promised Martin Luther King, and on and on and on. Transparency was the name of the game, and none of that is true. And I still think voting for Trump was better than Harris. At least he's trying to do something with the border and stuff. But as far as being transparent, I don't see it. I don't know if you do or not.
I actually do. And that's a scary part. Because now, especially with the Epstein, a lot of people are talking. It's like, well, you know, maybe they need a special counsel. It's like, no, it's already been made. That's the thing. I mean, guys, it's all in the jobs. When they mention a special prosecutor outside of DC to handle all this. Well, if the FBI doesn't have the Epstein stuff, then who's got it? Huber. Because everybody's looking at Horowitz. Everybody forgot about Huber. And he is the special prosecutor out of Utah that is actually doing all this, because you don't want a special counsel, because all they could do is make recommendations for prosecution. You want a special prosecutor that's doing the investigation and you prosecute at the same time. So what they're doing is, I firmly believe, because the whole Iran deal, the whole bombing of the 3 spots, right, with Trump, because he's got back channels with Iran, right? He's cool with Iran because in all of his posts and everything, he's like, hey, yeah, we control the skies over Iran and everything like this. Like, okay, but I mean, Israel's getting pummeled. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they didn't get, no, a third of Israel got wiped out, a third of it. And they're still wiping them out because they need to be taught a lesson. And when President Trump came in and he's like, oh, the 12-day war, I'm like, here we go. because you look at the 6-Day War, the 12-Day War, and then where's the 18? The 18 are the 1800 MK-84s that he's going to send to Israel. He said he's going to deliver to Israel. And I'm like, I was like, I can't believe he's I'm like, I can't believe nobody even noticed that he said he's going to deliver them. He didn't say how. He said he's going to deliver them. Because everything that's underground in Israel, it's like they're crying now about, oh, well, they're hitting, a hospital. It's like, you guys just destroyed 34 hospitals in Gaza. You wiped out literal bloodlines of people. You purposely attacked children, the elderly, women. You raped the men, but then you call yourself the most moral. There's nothing moral about anybody in Israel. It's a fake land. It was created just because they had 10 other spots that they were going to send them. Madagascar, Uganda, Alaska. But they wanted that Middle East because they wanted to be the powder keg to explode the whole entire Middle East. Because when they were saying, well, how is it that we have so many enemies in the Middle East? It's like, before Israel, we didn't have any enemies in the Middle East. Isn't that funny? And especially after going over all the dates that we've gone through. Every day we've gone through, in a calendar year, all the histories. You only see terrorism starting after 1948. And even the IDF was created by 3 terrorist factions. And they worship Moloch. I mean, I really don't, I don't see the problem in getting, saying the truth, because that's the truth. And they were kicked out of 1,030 countries, cities, everything, because of child ritual murder, of Christian murder. But then you call it blood libel. It's like, well, then what's going on right now? I mean, they're pushing their luck where it says they won't be able to walk the streets. It's all of them. And it's not like we said, hey, we want to have them all eradicated. Nobody said that throughout history. Nobody, even Hitler, nobody said that. But they have to have a boogeyman. Just like now the Holocaust is like died out because that's a whole lie. Now they have to bring up October 7th. It's like, yeah, they just needed just another trauma, another trauma-based event to say, oh, see, we're the victims. It's like, you guys were killing your own people. That's why President Trump was mentioning Hannibal Lecter. They were using the Hannibal Directive to kill their own people in order to drag everybody into this war. And Trump, I think Trump set him up. He set him up. He told Iran, he's like, hey, we're making deals with you. No problem. And then what does Israel do? They go bomb them. And then it's like, oh, hey, we need America's help. It's like, so Trump's like, no problem. We're going to drop three bombs in 3 spots, and it's obliterated. But now you have Israel. Oh, they still have. It's like, no, Trump said they obliterate it. So that's it. Game over. It's just like Operation Desert Storm. When Storm Norman went in there in 100 hours, he had it all wrapped up, and they're like, all right, let's go home. They're like, no, we can't have that. They need those endless wars. Because this whole military industrial complex, all these defense contractors, and then you look at all the defense contractors with Israel, it's all on surveillance. It's like they have infiltrated us so bad that even after, I was watching a video earlier, even after 9/11, the Mossad infiltrated the Pentagon. Like, we have been, everybody's worried about Iranian terrorists. No, you need to be worried about Mossad. They're the ones that go around and, they have their summer camps here in America. The Jews do, that they make all their militants. And I'm like, when is anybody going to mention any of this? But there's a lot of stuff because even down to anti-Semitism, when people are like, I can't believe Trump would write an executive order about anti-Semitism. It's like, I'm glad he did. Because the thing is that if you made a law about it, you're not getting that off the books. If you make an executive order over it, you could actually rescind that executive order and say, no, everything's off the table. Because now he's going right after the same universities that the Jews in Israel, they came over here, like Columbia and Harvard. That's where they started all the transgender movement and all the gender bending after they left the Frankfurt School in Germany, because he got kicked out because they didn't want that over there. So now we're looking at like Weimar Republic 2.0, and even with more filth, because now you have the internet with all the porn and OnlyFans, and come to find out that the was it the what is it? Was it the ADL? Yeah, the ADL. The biggest sponsor of the ADL is the guy that runs OnlyFans. So they're using women and pretty much making them nothing but sex objects, and making it filth, and so that nobody wants to actually, have mate with them, have kids, and start a family. Like, they want to destroy the nuclear family any which way they can. But I think this whole thing, like everything, even down to the Beirut bombing, the suicide bombing in the Marine barracks, that was done by Israel. Even Pete Hegseth, he brought it up because when he was sitting across from Bibi, and I don't know about you, but when he was sitting across from Pete Hegseth, now we saw Pete Hegseth's tattoos. He's a devout Christian, man of God, everything. When he called when he's like, "Oh, you're the great Satan, and we're little Satan," I saw his face. I'm like, "Ooh, you did not want to say that to him," because he's like, Bibi's like, "Oh, we have a good memory," and they were talking about Beirut, and then Hegseth's like, "Oh, we have a really good memory too." It's like, "Oh, oh, we're seeing a little clashing here." Because every time he's come here, he's like, "Oh no, we have to go into Iran," and it's like, nope. I mean, all this is because they've had us under the Samson option, under like a nuclear stalemate. But then they have the mind control, like all the MK Ultra, like they have like all this stuff going on now with all this communism. It's like, who created communism? They did. Judaism. Can't say Zionism. It's Judaism. It's their religion. The same religion that says that, Christ is burning in, human excrement in hell. And, Mother Mary's a whore and stuff like this. I'm like, hey, that's their book, not ours. But then they still say, oh, well, God gave us this land. We need to back that up too, because God did not give you that land. God would have let you have that land back if you would have stopped all your child sacrifices. Just like they went ahead and sacrificed the red heifer 2 days ago. They had a trial run for it. I'm like, they're really, really, really trying to bring their king of the world. It just makes you sick.
It certainly does, and that was a very interesting commentary you went through there, and it made a lot of sense to me. But the money we've given Israel, taxpayer money, could damn near wipe out our national debt right now. That's how much money they've gotten from us.
Yep.
So we're nothing but a bunch of patsies and a cash cow. And the ADL APAC is so strong in this country. It's just almost insane to think about the power they have. But they'll try to smear you. They smear me. That's fine. Smear me all they want. All they want. I'm gonna keep on telling the truth. They can call me a Jew hater, a Nazi, a drunk, an anti-Semitic pig, a worthless husband, a terrible father, whatever they want to do. I know who I am, and my family knows who I am. And the only thing that's going to get me is old age, I hope. But talking about this to anybody, it brings a lot of angst, and they can't believe it. I mean, nobody would do that. I mean, they can't fathom that Israel would and our country would get together to do that, but they did. They did, and they've been getting by with it. And you mentioned the Samson option. You bet they got us. The whole world goes down, and that's what they would do. That's what they would do.
Yep.
They're destroying the people in Gaza, and when you mention it, I've seen so many terrible pictures as you have. I can't even look at them anymore, Jason. It just breaks my heart. It brings me to tears to even think about it. And it went on a couple days ago. They did it again on a camp. It's just what type of people do that to other human beings? That is, they starve them, they rape them, they burn them, they run them over with bulldozers. Rachel Corrie, there's another good example.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gave a shit about her either.
Yeah. An American, no less.
Yeah.
So is this. And especially when, like, oh, we have to get all these hostages, right? Okay, well, they release these hostages. Well, they jump out of a van, skipping around, and like they're all fine. They get little gift bags from Hamas and little certificates. I'm like, so let me get this straight. So if you know where they all are, right? All of Hamas, they're sitting there all with Israeli weapons, nothing to see here, but they're all sitting there in one area. You're going to tell me that they were going to say, well, why don't we just drop a bomb on that? You know, you lose a couple people, but then that's it. Or if they would have left and they were all still congregated, why didn't they do it there? Because Hamas and IDF and all that, they're all hand in glove. They're funded by Israel. That's the boogeyman. Because they want to take Gaza that bad, but the Palestinians were going to put up a fight because it's their home. The whole Palestine has been their home. You know, that's like me going to your house and say, hey, you know, my family had this land 2,000 years ago, Phil. You got to pack your shit up and get out.
Yeah.
Okay. No. It was built off terrorism. It thrives off terrorism. And just to add insult to injury, on the ADL's website, USS Liberty, a conspiracy theory. The USS Liberty conspiracy theory claims Israel's mistaken strike against an American warship. It is not mistaken, by the way, not mistaken. We have the stuff. The USS Liberty during the 1967 Six-Day War was intentional. This theory is frequently promoted in propaganda materials by white supremacists and other anti-Semites as a way of stirring outrage against Jews and Israel.
They stirred their own outrage. Their own outrage. They did it to themselves.
Yep.
They're still doing it to themselves, but we're supposed to stand by and take it. I think Americans are waking up. I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
Oh yeah, and even here, Allison Weir's new billboard campaign promotes USS Liberty conspiracies. Right, April 7, 2016. Allison Weir, director of the anti-Israel organization Americans New and the Council for the National Interest, is buying a series of billboards that read, "Help the USS Liberty survivors attacked by Israel." Billboard in Pennsylvania. The billboards, which have appeared so far in California, Connecticut, Massachusetts, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, are paid for by www.honorlibertyvets.org, a website that promotes the anti-Israel conspiracy theory that Israel intentionally targeted a U.S. warship during the height of the 1967 Six-Day War, which they did intentionally target. There's no doubt in my mind. It's right here in the writing, but they're like, oh, no, it's their fault. We don't do anything wrong. Okay. The tragic assault by Israeli forces during the Six-Day War in 1967 on an American vessel, the USS Liberty, has been a source of controversy and conspiracy theories since it occurred. Several government investigations have concluded that the attack, in which 34 American servicemen were killed and many more injured, was carried out in error. It's always a mistake. Furthermore, every piece of information declassified to date has supported this conclusion. No, it hasn't. Nice try. Nevertheless, the Honor Liberty Vets website claims Israel had a motive for attacking the American ship, stating one hypothesis is that Israel intended to sink the ship with no survivors and blame Egypt because this might have brought the United States into the 1967 war. That is a 100% fact. 100%
Absolutely.
fact. The site also paints Israeli interest as trumping America's no nation or people should be above the law, nor should American interests be subordinated to the interest of any foreign nation. Those Israelis responsible for ordering the attack and resulting murder of American sailors must be held accountable for their actions. Yes, we want accountability. For Weir and others who subscribe to the belief, they have it underlined that Israel intentionally targeted a ship with the goal of killing American servicemen. The incident and the alleged U.S. government cover-up that followed powerfully demonstrate the supposed treachery and power of the Jewish state and its American supporters. The story told from this perspective has become a propaganda tool to undermine the legitimacy of Israel. Well, how is it illegitimate when the first U.S. president that was a Jew was, in fact, LBJ? Because his last name's Johnson. It's like they go by the maternal line, guys. That's all they do. It's all maternal. Oh, shit. Where'd it go? They always do this shit. What? These theories about the USS Liberty fit into Weir's worldview, in which the Jewish state is a violent aggressor that corrupts the American political system and prevents criticism of its conduct from being voiced by the mainstream media. Oh, no truer words have been spoken. As a result, she contends, Americans are kept in the dark about how their taxes fund Israeli mistreatment of Palestinians. Another fact. In Weir's discussion of Israel's influence, she also employs anti-Semitic imagery and portrays Israel as a ruthless force that controls American policy through brutal intimidation and deception. Fact. Weir views herself and organizations as part of a growing movement to promote U.S. interests by educating Americans about the vast conspiracy to keep the truth about Israelis' practices hidden from them. Yeah, they just put them in tunnels. Weir's Council for the National Interest, an anti-U.S. aid to Israel group based in D.C., previously employed billboards to disseminate its message with a 2013 campaign called Stop the Blank Check to Israel. At least 10 such ads, which read $8 million a day to Israel just doesn't make sense. StopTheBlankCheck.org were erected in Atlanta. And I'll go ahead and put this in the comment section because, well, they're always full of lies. That's all they do. That's their MO, is just deceive, lie. It's just, it gets to a point where, you know, we've got to stand up and voice, and we have to be the voice in this. All Americans do. Because we just don't want them here anymore.
No, absolutely. This country was founded by great patriots that loved this country and built this country, and we've just handed it over. They've, I mean, from the Liberty to Jonathan Pollard, 911, and just go back and back, Beirut, King David. I mean, just so many of them. Nobody throws their hands up or says anything. Just give them more money. We need more money, more bombs, more weapons, more missiles, more Iron Dome, and we're paying for it all. This national debt, I mean, it can't go on and on the way it is, and we still give Israel the majority of the money, and they get it. And I wonder how many of our congressmen and senators are being blackmailed in some form or fashion.
A lot.
Yeah, well, I understood, Jason, there was 2/3 of everybody in Congress and the Senate that stand tall for Israel and not stand tall for the United States of America. The oath they took to the Constitution, protect and defend from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they spit on that very Bible they put their hands on to make an oath that they didn't take to heart, or they didn't believe, and they do it, and well, for instance, Ted Cruz. I was kind of a good fan of his until I heard him say that in a Christian church, if you don't support Israel, I will not support you. In a Christian church, and that's the type of brainwashing, or I guess behind closed doors type of shenanigans that goes on, and I don't see if I can. I try to wrap my hand around it, but that's the only way I see it. Right there is they got something on everybody.
Yep. And also, in Thursday's show, we start out with a video about the Schofield, Cyrus Schofield, who wrote the Schofield Bible,
Right.
and how vindictive and a criminal, and it's like, so how did he get all his money? And he didn't have any schooling, but then the Rothschilds funded him to write not so much a Bible, but write footnotes in a Bible to say, oh, well, we have to, help Israel. Israel has to be Israel, Israel, Israel. It's like Israel was never a land. Israel was a person, then turned to Jacob. So no, Israel was a land. It wasn't a land or anything like that. It was actually a project. We are Project Israel. It's humanity. They're not a part of it at all. And they keep on doing this every single time. And it's always the narcissism coupled with the victimhood, where it's like, which way do you want to go? And you look in Congress and everything. I mean, you see so many people wearing an American flag and Ukraine flag, American flag and Israeli flag. But you very seldom see them just wearing an American flag. And that's the problem. You're serving two masters, done. And a lot of these people, they have such strong ties because when they win, you have J Street and them like, oh, hey, we're going to fly you over to Israel so you can hump this wall, but then they want to say that we're all idolaters. We worship idols, but you guys are sitting here jockeying a wall. That's not even yours.
They called it the Wailing Wall for years and years, but it was built by the Romans.
Yep.
And I guess that's their way of sexualizing their way of being demonic or whatever. It's the way it looks to me.
I wish I do, but I don't. Tried to understand that, but you can't, because we don't think in that sense. We have compassion. We want to spread love. We want what's best for everyone. We're not sitting here saying, oh, these are goyim. Anybody that's not us, or they're just beasts and subhuman. It's like, that's why they're like, oh, we have to save as many human lives as possible. When they come out with that, it's like, they're not talking about the Palestinians, guys. They're not talking about us either. They're talking about them, their clique. And now I think it had to come back here because you got, New York City with the mega group, and you got all these Jewish billionaires here. But then if you say something that the Jews run everything, then they're like, oh, you're anti-Semitic. I'm like, cool. Call me racist too, and we'll knock it out of the park there, because it comes a time where, we have to stand up and say, you know what? No, we're not having this filth or any of this shit in our country anymore. This is exactly why Hitler did what he did. And what he did wasn't exterminate 6 million, because you can't have a population of 15.2 million in 1934 and then lose 6 million and then end up with 15.7 million in 1946. There's no spread there.
It's not mathematically feasible.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
And That's but they pride themselves on, oh, we're so smart because you guys steal everything. You guys steal everything from us. You know, we're sitting here and, oh, China, I can't believe China's doing this. I'm like, so let's just take a step back and let's replace Israel with China or Russia. Now, what would people say if Chinese were here and they were boasting about, oh, we control the United States government, we control the the president, we control Congress, we control the laws, we can make what we want. What would people say then? People would want everybody from China out of our country. So what gives? Because they keep on going back to this, they're God's chosen. Which God, guys? Which God are they referring to? It's not the same one that we follow. It's theirs. In fact, 1933 in Soldier Field in Chicago, they actually had a massive 60,000 people showed up, and they had like a big feast of Moloch. Like they had the big bowl, and they were putting a baby in there, and it's like, but yet, they want to say, oh, well, we have freedom, freedom of speech and freedom of religion. We can, no, whoa, we have to put a kibosh on this, because if your religion is all about slaughtering innocent children and Christian babies and all that just for the blood, but then if we say something about it, then it's blood libel, and then you want all your minions and your little henchmen to do this shit because they all deal with cybersecurity. I personally wipe the whole area out. Just level it with all of them in it. Don't let anyone leave because now they want to, oh, well, we don't want to live here anymore. Oh. So you want to take your genocidal stuff elsewhere. So you could say, oh, well, we're the Jews. We're this. Nope. Send them right back. And that's what we should do. Just send them all there and then send in 1,800 MK-84s full of love. Because the Epstein, the 9/11, that's why Trump's like, hey, all this, I don't know why people are so hung up on Epstein. It's like, well, because he's Israeli. He's Israeli intelligence. But that's why he's like, oh, we gotta, because the whole misinformation, disinformation, it's necessary because in order to knock all this out, they want to make sure that when they bring everything forward, it's like, here's why we're doing it. Because, you're going to have your evangelicals all up in arms and all. It's like, no, we have to build a complete solid case for what we're about to do to them. And it's well-deserved. People say, oh, but those were the guys back then. It doesn't matter. They sit here and they're dressing up as the Twin Towers for their little Purim, and they're making jokes about it. Well, then what about the art students? They came here. The B team and the gelatin team. I mean, we have all the photos. We have everything. It's like, guys. So why did they do all this? Yeah, literally, Silverstein. Everybody involved is a Jew. So they can't say, oh, it's Zionism. It's like, it's not Zionism, guys. It's not at all. But then they say that, with you cannot say Judeo-Christian values. That's a massive oxymoron. Because Christ wasn't a Jew. People want to say, oh, no, he wasn't. But they're always the king of the Jews. Don't say that either. Because you guys worship Satan. You guys always have. You guys always will. I mean, 6-pointed star, hexagon. There's a lot to it. But after all the research we've done over all the years, this is exactly, because they said Israel's last for a reason not mentioned here. Even President Trump said, give me freedom or give me death. Why didn't he say liberty? Because that's the reason. Because they know. Because the military, if you think, oh, well, yeah, we have to go help them. It's like, So they've attacked us numerous times and then pin it on somebody else. And then we go over and light up all these civilians for no reason. And they're sitting back there laughing because, well, we didn't do it. The Americans did it. But all that, all the bloodshed and all that, remember, they have to have all this bloodshed in order to bring back their Messiah. And man, I can't believe people don't see this.
Well, some do and some never will.
Yep.
It's just, it's been that way. And, the boomers, like I am, they don't believe it, but the internet, shows like you do and others, Candace Owen, Jake Shields, many others, Dan Bilzerian, try to get into the inner circle of what you're saying and pick it apart, just like you're doing. And Israel was created by man, not by God.
Yep.
The current day Israel and the Rothschilds, that was the plan all along. And I believe it was General Marshall told Truman that you're making a hell of a mistake putting the Jews in the Middle East. And he says, I have to if I want to win elections. I don't know how true it is, but it sounds true to me.
Yeah. Because it seems that, you look at, Woodrow Wilson, how they had him blackmailed, how Samuel Untermeyer had him blackmailed. Then you look at FDR. I mean, you could look all the way back, and it's like, because they weren't supposed to have any land, they weren't supposed to have any public office, they weren't supposed to have anything. I mean, even General Grant back in 1863, 1861 or 63, I think it's 61, where he came up with General Orders Number 11. Well, they were throwing the Jews out of the South, out of three states out of the South, because of all their uprisings. They were starting all these uprisings with the slaves and everything like that. They were trying this whole, equality and everything, and they didn't want any part of it. But they had to start, with the whole coin clipping, with their with the cotton yield and everything. They turn around and jack up the price to sell it back to the military, and I mean, even down to usury. That was it. Doesn't the Bible, no usury. So who's the one that does usury? And who's the one that doesn't have to pay usury?
Right. Yeah.
And it gets to be just a lot. But right now I have a video, if you don't mind, Phil.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
It's from all of us on our show that we did. And yeah.
So I was about to say that back in June 8th of 1967, I was an E5 on the USS Liberty. I had a day watch and I was copying International Morse code. The whole story behind the Liberty and getting the truth out is that we, the survivors, have never had an opportunity to express what was going on. We were put under a gag order immediately. The United States covered up, the incident. There was never a full congressional investigation. And so you have us on today, Jason, because we want to get the truth out. And that's been our whole, purpose for the past 57 years is to get some honest, investigation to because you've collected the evidence. You've seen that it was a deliberate attack. There was nothing mistaken about our identity or anything else. So for all of us, this is a godsend. We appreciate it very much. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ron.
Well, thanks, Larry. You know, I continue after all these years to remain the chaplain for the USS Liberty Veterans Association. Thank you all for allowing me to do that. May I start by just talking about being down below when the torpedo hit the ship. I'll try to make it as short, as brief as possible. After we went to general quarters that day at 1300 and we're done at 1400, the captain had congratulated us about the way we had handled our general quarters, and he was very happy with it. It wasn't but a few seconds later he came back onto the 1MC, which is the ship's intercom, and he said, "Prepare for torpedo attack." Well, down below, that was quite a shock to me, and I thought to myself, man, this only happens in the movies. This can't be happening to us, but it was. So I went immediately to my equipment and went to prayer, asking for my life. After I'd got up and went back to my desk, I got ready to sit down. And if you keep in mind that the torpedoes were on their way, 5 of them, one was going to hit us on the starboard side. And just before the torpedo struck the ship, I was standing upright in front of my desk. And I heard this voice saying, "If you want to call for a straitjacket, go ahead." But I heard this voice and it said, "Get down and get down now." Well, I didn't move fast enough. I know that for a fact. I didn't move fast enough. So when the torpedo hit and exploded, I was flat to the deck with my nose to the steel deck. And I think there was only about 2 or 3 of us that survived out of that compartment. I was one of them. All I'm saying is, if you want to talk about miracles, there was one after another that day. And just before the torpedo struck, about 3 seconds before, I found myself flat on the deck with the shrapnel flying over my head. I didn't put myself there, and I'm just saying I'm leaving it up to you as to how I got there. That's only one of the miracles. I was also in charge of the body recovery down below, and I had Ernie Gallo come down to me and ask me how I could possibly do that. And then Phil had to take, I think Phil took a week or so leave to get away from the smell, which being the man in charge down there, I didn't want to be in charge, but there was nobody with a top secret clearance that could go down there. So I ended up doing an officer's job that day, as far as I'm concerned. And everybody did complain about the smell. We picked up pieces, tried to put them together to make a body out of them so they were identifiable, which was a pretty tough job. But talking about the smell, folks, I'm talking about another miracle. I never smelled anything, nothing. And I stayed down there all that time. And folks, I just want to say, I could go on and on and on about the miracles that happened that day. But I just want to say, the man behind this all is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I maintain that position till the day I die. Go ahead, somebody else.
Mickey needs to talk, I think.
Mickey.
Yeah, I can. I don't know how much you want me to just talk, but
All right, that's the first one. And let's see, pull up the second one right now, because we have 3 of them. And it's I mean, it's heartbreaking, you know, especially you know, with his you know, parting words, you know, "Until the day I die." It's like, these sons of bitches. But give me 1 second. All right, I've got the second one right here, and this one's 644 long. When you mentioned about identifying, right, Philip? So it's really identification of the ship. Now, this is from the CIA. This is the same document that the Israelis turned in Now, none of the communications of the attacking aircraft and torpedo boats is available.
Huh.
How ironic. But the intercepted conversations between the helicopter pilots and the control tower at Hazor near Tel Aviv leave little doubt that the Israelis failed to identify the Liberty as a U.S. ship before or during the attack. So, if somebody can explain this to me, if it's a clear day, clear morning, you see an American flag flying, they shot the flag how many times?
They shot 2 of them down. We played, the last one was 7x13 holiday colors.
If you didn't recognize it, then why would you shoot it? They knew it was an American ship. Now it said,
Exactly.
control told the helicopter 8:15 at 3:31 p.m., 8:31 a.m. Eastern, that there's a warship there which we attacked. The men jumped in the water from it. You will try to rescue them. Although there were other references to a search for the men in the water, and although U.S. units later searched the area, no survivors were recovered from the sea. Nor were there any indications that any of the 22 missing personnel from the Liberty had been lost overboard. A subsequent message from the control tower to the helicopter identified the ship as Egyptian and told the pilot to return home. Although the Liberty is some 200 feet longer than the Egyptian transport Al Quister, it could easily be mistaken for the latter vessel by an overzealous pilot.
Man.
Both ships have similar hulls and arrangements of mast and stack. No, they don't. No, they don't at all.
No,
They don't
not
even
at
look
all.
at all alike. I mean, you could have probably used the Al Quister as a dinghy for the Liberty.
Can I interject something here, Jason?
Please do.
Yes, thank you. About 3/4 of that ship, the men carried a top secret clearance. And our support personnel, which were engineering, et cetera, I think were handpicked. Now, how is it possible that that many men, most trusted by the United States government, would all get together and lie and say this was no accident? How is that possible? But because we were the most trusted, that could ever happen. We all know that we never got a chance to give any eyewitness reports about this. The Naval Board of Inquiry was conducted without any of us being able to give some input. So how is that possible? That many men could get together and say, we're all going to lie about this and say it was, done on purpose, which it was done on purpose. And it was meant to put us to the bottom. And everything that I can think of, all the odds were against us. They had it all. They had the cannon fire, they had the Mirage jets, the torpedoes, napalm, and on and on and on, almost like a David and Goliath situation. And still, the Liberty wouldn't go to the bottom. If I was one of them, if I happened to be a part of the IDF then, I'd be looking and saying to myself, how is it possible? After we've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at these people, and that ship still stayed afloat.
Well, because our God
Yes,
is a
Yes.
protector. Their
Amen.
God is a destroyer.
Amen.
absolutely.
And going back to the U.S. Navy Court of Inquiry, why would they have an inquiry in something like this for only 8 days? June 10th to 18th, 1967. Their conclusion was the attack was a case of mistaken identity. Calm conditions and slow ship speed may have made the American flag difficult to identify. If it's 7x13 and you're difficult to identify, don't pilots have to have like the best eyesight in the world? It's not like put a bunch of cross-eyed people up there. I mean, this is no indication the attack was intended against the U.S. ship. Oh, you don't say, huh? Because thus, it was not until 4:12 p.m., 9:12 a.m. that the Israelis became convinced that the Liberty was American. This was about 44 minutes after the last attack on the ship, and the attack had apparently been called off, not because the ship had been identified, but because it seemed to be sinking.
Damage was done.
And that's why LBJ and was it
McNamara.
McNamara, Rob McNamara. I kept on thinking the other one. And because they called it off. Also, this is another problem that I really have with this. is that what was it? Oh, it's right here. I just went over it. Damn it. So when they sent the aircraft from the Saratoga, they sent it out from the carriers, and then they called them back, and then they sent destroyers in. It's like, if they're being attacked by the air, why are they calling back the air support and sending destroyers in? The aircraft's going to get there a lot faster than destroyers. I mean, literally anybody can see that. Also, so it says the U.S. Defense Attaché in Tel Aviv reports that Israeli helicopters and the 3 torpedoes searched the area until 6:04 p.m., which happened to be 11:04 a.m. Eastern. The Israeli offer of assistance was declined because of the sensitive mission of the ship. No, because you literally shot all the lifeboats out. And also, according to U.S. Navy reports, now this is one of the biggest sentences in here. The ship was saved only through the efforts of her crew. And God, I inserted the last part.
And I agree.
Because
Yeah, I agree.
it just really just makes you think that I mean, I have a list right here of all the USS Liberty incident investigations of the Liberty tragedy. So it happened on June 8th, 1967. Right? So the CIA report that we have came out June 13th, 1967. Says that attack was not made in malice and was a mistake. Sure. You've got the Joint Chiefs of Staff fact-finding team. Well, don't say you're a fact-finding team if the time of your dates that you had the investigation was June 9th through June 20th, 1967. 12 days. And that says outline finding of fact, but did not make any findings about the actual attack. Q. Then you had the Clifford Report, July 18th, 1967. It was later on this week. No premeditation, but inexcusable failures by Israeli forces constituting gross negligence. No premeditation. You flew by the ship numerous times. You saw that it was a flagship. And then they had the balls to say, well, we saw a single mast. It's like, there are 3 of them. There were 3 masts. And that's why when they say like 5-5, it's like, guys, if you're looking straight ahead of the ship, what do you see on the Liberty? You see 5-5. It's right on it. They've been telling us the whole time. This is exactly why we're getting ready to do what we're going to do to them. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, 67. McNamara testified he supported conclusion that the attack was not intentional. Yeah, roast in hell too, bud. Senate Armed Services Committee, February 1st, 1968. No conclusion. Secretary McNamara makes comparison of attack on Liberty to that on Pueblo with regard to uncertainty about what was happening at the time of the incident. Complete lies. Complete lies. House Appropriations Committee, April through May, 1968. Now this one, Navy communication follow-up, no, you mean jamming, and no conclusion regarding Israeli actions. Much of the report remains classified. Odd. Then we have the House Armed Services Committee, May 10th, 1971. Critical of Navy communications, no conclusion regarding Israeli actions. So they're critical towards our Navy and the communications, even though they were jamming the communications from the naval, because they wanted to sink it. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, 1979, responding to critical book by Liberty crewman James Ennis. Senate investigation found no merit to his claim attack was intentional. So You literally have a man that was on the ship that's telling you what happened. It's the same story everybody else had. But they're like, oh, there's no merit to it. Of course. The NSA came out in 1981. Liberty was mistaken for an Egyptian ship as a result of miscalculations and egregious errors. Miscalculations, like the ship going like 28 to 30 knots. A Liberty ship doesn't go 28 to 30 knots. But I think I know, and this is gonna sound weird, but why July 11th is so big too, and the R in a kill box, and we'll go over it after I get done with these couple, because it's a Liberty ship as well. The House Armed Services Committee, June 1991, responding to requests from Liberty Veterans Association Subcommittee on Investigations, launched probe that concluded there was no evidence to support allegations made by the association and no reason for further investigation. You could literally call me up, and I could take a couple toasts with me and just go do that. Because what are they covering up? Because right at the same time, they were stealing all the uranium from NUMEC in Apollo, Pennsylvania. Under, what was it? You had, you had so many people. Raphael Eaton, they're all BB's BFFs. But here, the Israeli investigations, they had 3 of them. The Ramron Commission, which we have right here, and it is littered full of lies. Littered full of lies. June 12th, 1967. It's nice that they could come up with 17 pages of all these testimonies and everything like that in a matter of a couple days. So the conclusion, the attack was made neither maliciously nor in gross negligence, but as a result of a bona fide mistake. Also notes that the Liberty made a mistake as well by carelessly approaching a war area. You were in international waters. You were nowhere near the coastline of Israel. And what'd they do? Because, well, wouldn't people like to know that this whole 6-day war, that Israel wasn't attacked at all? They literally went and attacked. Here. It was Operation Focus. And it drops, it says Focus, and they call it the Sinai Airstrike, the SAS. 7:45 on June 5th, 1967. Destroyed Egyptian, Jordanian, and Syrian aircraft. They didn't stand a chance because they weren't going to attack Israel. They just had everything just on standby like a military would. Go figure. Then they had the preliminary inquiry in July 1967. There was no malicious intent and no deviation from the standard of reasonable conduct that would justify a court-martial. Of course, because your standard of reasonable conduct is a lot different than our standard of reasonable conduct. Because you guys call yourself the most moral military, all the while you're literally slaughtering kids and starving kids and think it's okay. And the IDF history, 1982, the attack was a result of an innocent error. Just,
Jason, they admitted on their war table that we were in the area and identified us as American and friendly on their war table. And we have this on tape. They said they changed the watch, which means another group of men come in, or women, or whatever, and assume the watch, and you brief the watch commanders what's going on. They inadvertently took the Liberty off the war table and forgot we were there. Sure, they forgot we were there when they had already identified us as American and friendly. The IDF pilots, one of them said, but it's an American ship. You have your orders, hit the ship, and hit it they did, and the consequences are well known.
Yep.
Dean Rush said it remains a scar on America and Israel. Many others are big supporters. Of course, many of them have died out. Admiral Thomas More, just so many of them. Pete McCluskey, Jim Traficant, just more and more. But people, they got booted out of Congress because they didn't go along with the control of who is controlling our government then and now. And that's just the way it is. How do you murder 34 Americans and get by with it and have an investigation wrap up that quickly? They were ordered by Johnson. The JAG officer, Ward Boston, said that in an affidavit. We know it was no mistake, but we were ordered to find it a mistaken identity. And he regretted that till the day he died. So, crooked politicians, you can't trust any of them. I don't care what stripe they are.
Yep.
They're just crooked.
Yeah, because it's almost like a lot of these military guys, they just use the military as a stepping stone to their new defense contract job. That's
Absolutely.
it. Because if you don't toe the line, if you're not a war hawk, well, how are you going to go work at Raytheon or General Dynamics or who else other? I mean, there's so many of them, and it's just yeah. So there's this one ship. It's a Liberty ship, the SS Robert Rowan. It's an American Liberty ship built in 1943. 1943 is your 17, right? So, like other Liberty ships, she was 441 feet, which is a 9, 134 meters, which is an 8. Add them together, it's a 17. Then you have 56 feet wide, 17 meters, another 17. Carried 9,000 tons of cargo and a top speed of 11 knots. So when they're saying 30 knots and all, yeah, top speed of 11 knots, but carried 9,000 tons. It's 9/11. Most Liberty ships were named after prominent deceased Americans. But the keel of the ship was laid on March 5th, 1943. A few months later, North Carolina Shipbuilding Company launched in Wilmington under the name Robert Rowan, christened by Gene A. Husk from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and commissioned later that year. North Carolina, it's a 14 plus a 3. That is a 17. And if you notice, it was laid down, launched on April 6, 1943. On July 11th, 1943. That's it. And that was just Friday, 1943. A lot of 7-11s. Sunk off Sicily July 11th, 1943. Scrapped in 1948. Same thing they did with the USS Liberty. They went ahead and just scrap it all. And maiden voyage was on May 14th, 1943. Hampton, Virginia. Part of convoy UGS 8A. Sent to Sicily for Operation Husky. She arrived at Gala July 11, 1943, with the cargo of ammunition and 334 soldiers of the 18th Infantry. She also carried 14 U.S. Navy personnel, 32 U.S. Navy armed guards, and 41 crewmen. During the Battle of Gila, the Rowan was hit by 3 500-kilogram bombs. Just before 1400 hours, German Junkers Ju-88 bombers, 88 speed, appeared overhead and attacked the ships in the bay. One bomb passed through the ship, but the other 2 exploded in the holds. Because of the nature of the cargo of the ship was abandoned without any attempt to put the fire out. It's all full of ammunition. All 421 men on board safely evacuated the ship, were picked up by PT boats and transferred to nearby destroyers. Huh. Funny if they would have just done that on another one, huh? But this was 25 years before. Within 20 minutes, the fire reached munitions with a tremendous explosion tearing the ship in half. The burning ship came to rest on an even keel and burned for 2 days. The destroyer U.S. McLennan tried to sink the ship because the fires lit up the area during the night, but this failed as the water was too shallow. The hulk lay in the waters off Gila until 1948 when it was sold and scrapped. That's a pretty big explosion there, because wondering, yeah, right in Italy. So by all the numbers and the RR and the drops, RR problems, well, you have 7-11, 1943 is your 17. I mean, all the numbers, it's there. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, well, numbers. It's like, well, you can't trust words because they start changing the definition of this, or, tweaking how what this means, and, having a working definition of things. It's like, no, there's a definition. What does that mean? And that's it. Full stop. But yeah, it's, man, but when he came out and said 12-day war, and I'm like, and now it's like everybody's like, oh, he's playing ball with the Israelis. That's like, no, he's not. Nope. It's all about timing. It's like this is like the good evil, this final battle. I mean, this is for all the marbles. And if we were to do something just because we wanted a certain way, just to make us happy, but it would jeopardize the whole plan, well, that's just the thing. I mean, we joined on this to say that, hey, we're going to trust this. We know it's going to get dicey. That's why when all the Epstein stuff came out, I was like, where's Huber? Because he has all that. Because they actually, John Solomon came out and said that they should start up a special prosecutor and go back to 2016 and investigate all of President Trump's crimes. Well, they've already done that. He hasn't done. I mean, he's literally walked out of every court case. Just not the one with the the civil suit, because that's a joke. But what we need to realize is, it's like this is a massive thing that they're doing right now. I mean, they're setting it all up because they're narcissists, but then they're also victims. So in order to do all this, you have to, prove without a reasonable doubt. So that's why he's like, oh, anti-Semitism. Hey, so he's going after all these universities and calling them anti-Semitic, while in the same token, he's sitting there calling Chuck Schumer Palestinian. And that's probably pissing him off and piss off all the mega group in New York, because that's where he's out of. And that's who their little Schleiermacher buddy. And that's another thing. When he said Schleiermacher in his speech, I'd like to fall out of chair, Phil. And he's like, Schleiermacher, I didn't know that was a slang for Jewish or anything like that. I'm like, come on. It's like, exactly what you're doing. Why isn't Kushner around anymore? And then when you start seeing, it's like, well, all these, women, and especially, who was it? Catherine Levitt, right? Oh, Caroline Levitt. When she came out and she talked about the, Epstein files, she wasn't wearing a cross around her neck. It's like, See, they're telling us by not telling us. But if Israel's last for a reason not mentioned here, we have to trust the entire process. Even though we're going to look at it and say, hey, it's going to get ugly between, Bongino and Cash and all that. But remember, we're watching a movie. This is all an act. It's all one big war game. Because they just need a little bit more time just to get everything rounded up, and to make sure that they stop these terror cells within the United States. So you have Iran hunting down all these Mossad agents in Iran. There was like 700 of them. They started executing them on site, which is great. They should just wipe them all out. But how many other countries are infiltrated with Mossad agents? They all are. I mean, Israel and their tentacles are stretched so far across the world that we look at like Israel, but you have to look at the whole religion. Now, people want to say, well, Zionism, it's not Zionism. Because this all goes back to Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini in the not August 15th, 1871 letter outlining all three world wars. Well, in the Third World War, political Zionism was going to defeat, political Zionism was go heads up against Islam, and they were going to both destroy themselves. Well, you could take Zionism off the table then. Who does that leave? You've got the Freemasons and Judaism, which they both worship Satan. So I mean, every single war that we've ever gotten into, it's because of them. In one way, shape, or form. Because after World War I, we were isolationists. Then who drug us into that? Stalin. Communist. You know, because Jacob Schiff and the rest of the Jews over in New York, they went over and pulled off the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. And just like 1917 and 1923, they had all those uprisings. You know, that's how Ukraine was split off and everything. So what they were doing was Das Juden, they were going in and just raising all this hell, but then they're like, oh, they killed all these Jews. No, no, no. You guys were over here killing Armenians, which are Christians, and crucifying them. And then yet you want to sit here and start saying, oh, that's blood libel. That's blood libel. There's 1,030 reasons why it's not blood libel. It's just not there.
Well, you mentioned something I never thought about. This is a script to play. Everybody's doing their part in the play. And I found it interesting that Netanyahu would support the Nobel Peace Prize for Trump, and they brought that up in his letter, his famous letter, and I thought that was wow. Okay, here you got this guy that is crucifying Palestinians, and we're giving him the money to do it, and they won a peace prize for it. I don't know if that's in the script or not, but you mentioned World War II, all these wars and stuff. Hey, Roosevelt promised, we're not going to get any more wars, and they did. I think it. Well, I've read a lot of different things on it, but World War II was a setup deal. I mean, it was all orchestrated to get us in two wars, and that's exactly what happened. And that's what the powers that be wanted, the powers with the money, and they always get what they want. It's like the media. You can't trust any of the media. I mean, thank God for social media like you guys. And I'm going to be launching my own podcast here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to give them hell. I'll guarantee you that. It'll be mainly about the USS Liberty, but we've got more documents and more surprises that people haven't heard about yet, but they're coming.
Oh, now you're starting your own podcast on your own channel, or?
Well, it'll be on X, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, things like that. Yeah.
Do you happen to know the name of it, or is it still in?
It's the Phillip Tourney podcast.
Sweet. Man, that's gonna be great because I know a lot of the guys you've been on with. I mean, I hold a lot of just Jake Shields, Dan Bilzerian, and all those guys because they want to get the truth out too, and everybody's pissed off because you want us to speak truth to power, but you're not letting us speak truth to power. But then you have to realize it's like, wait a second, it just goes back to the drops. Like, okay, it's like, oh. President Trump, he's carrying the water for them again. It's like, hell no, he's not. The first time, of course. But they're like, oh, but he took all their money. It's like, wouldn't you? And then you turn around and just do like they do, stab them right in the back. But not in the back, in the front, everywhere. Because with, we have to, we have to completely, a clean house is necessary. You have to clean out the whole house, because we don't know how many lobbyists, how many people that are staffers, they're directly tied to, IDF, Mossad. I mean, look at Brian Mast. Perfect example. He shows up to the house in an IDF uniform shirt. He should have been taken out back and hung for treason instantly.
Absolutely.
Like, where did you get that? Number one.
Yeah. Well, he's such a great big supporter of Israel, and Rick Wiles was going to run against him, and it didn't work out. But he's he's got so much support there at the Jewish vote in Florida. But it's the same thing in Colorado. It's that type of state, and most states are. As I said earlier, 2/3 of the Congress and Senate are all signed up, sealed, and delivered for the Zionist state, for Israel, the Jews. And here we go again. Jason, I really don't know how to explain. How do you get the truth out when you tell the truth and everybody says you're a damn liar? That is the most frustrating thing in the world. And we're eyewitnesses to cold-blooded murder. And we got the goods on them. In America, our Congress isn't going to listen, but America can listen, and they can demand it. They can demand it from all of them. You guys set these guys down, let them tell their story, and prove they're wrong.
Yep.
They're afraid of that. They're as afraid as a gun pointed to their head, getting us in front of Congress. And I really believe that. I think we're the key to break the back of this whole cabal.
I think so too, because we could prove without a reasonable doubt. And if they want to sit here and say, "Oh, these guys are on here," like Jonathan Greenblatt in the 80, fuck them. And it's like, well, we actually have all the documents, everything. We printed everything. They're like, "Oh, it's like they said archive offline," so that's what we did. I mean, we have stuff on the Israeli occupation, on all their businesses. I mean, the stuff that we found online, just from simple searching and digging, because, well, we had to dig somewhere, and the further we went down, the more we got. And now, when we get to the USS Liberty, you're just like, that's like the catalyst of it all. Because it's like, you literally left our men hang out to dry. Our government did. And then you look at how that led up to it. And, you had Kennedy, then you had Johnson, and then whoops, it just so happens that, Kennedy ends up shot. And then here comes LBJ, Mr., he likes to just, and that guy, I mean, when it comes to perverts, I thought LBJ was right up there too. I mean, he was pure filth because he was a Jew, no less, but he kept on whipping his dick out in front of everybody in meetings and all. I'm like, is that acceptable for our president to do that in front of women's Secret Service agents, in front of other heads of state? Is that acceptable now by standards here, or did we miss the memo for that? Because
that's no standards. I can't. Oh boy, that's just so insulting to hear. But that's the way of the people, and that's the way they like it. I mean, it's proven. Israel is occupied by people that worship sex, deviant deeds, child molestation, pedophilia, and they get by with it. If you're a pedophile, go to Israel. No, you'll get a badge.
Yeah, and then you can have all the kids you want because, well, there's no extradition treaty. So I mean, it's almost as if it's like And then, especially if you're a Jew, you could get fast tracked to get over there, and they just throw you in there. It's like, then what do? They put you in a settlement. It's like, huh? Then you can rape whoever you want because they don't care. They're like, as long as you're not doing to another Jew, you can do whatever you want because they're all subhuman. They're all beneath us. It's like, but yet they want a two-state solution. That all we want is peace. You guys are full of shit again. So, but yeah, I want to close out today with the prayer from from Ron. And this one we listened to it last night, Dean and I mean it tugs at your heartstrings. It's like that was the last time we talked to him. And it's for us, it's not so much, it doesn't get any easier because, we never got a chance to meet him in person, but just by, talking to him on the phone and, meeting him on here, it's like he's already family. It's like, we'll go to bat for any of you guys at any time. And that is what distinguishes a patriot from just a part-time American. It's like, no, what's right is right. And we have to fight for those that fought for us before in order for us to still retain our freedom. And right now, our freedom is at attack by the same ones that attacked all of you guys back in 67. And it just keeps on adding on and on and on. And, we have to be the ones to actually stand up and say, you know what? No, we're not putting up with this anymore. We're finished. And, people want to sit here and say, well, you can't say that about all of them. It's like, but the funny thing is that they hate all of us. They call all of us goyim, less than human, animals, beasts. What they say about Christ, like, oh, that's in the Talmud. The Torah and the Talmud, it's literally the same. It goes from Torah to Talmud. It's like Old Testament, New Testament. It's right there. And people are like, oh, but that's just a rabbi's opinion. It's like, well, I guess the opinion must have been good enough that you guys wrote it down. You guys been, following for millennia. But also, it's like that October 7th. It's like, why did they pick October 7th to do this? Well, it was the first date of their calendar in 35 something BC. And they said that the next year Adam and Eve were created. I'm like, so you guys really do think you're like higher than God, right? Because also when it says, you don't see Cain and Abel's birth, you see Seth's birth. So it's like, so where's Cain and Abel in there? It's like, well, because they're cannibals too. Cain ate Abel, cannibal, and that's what they do for the Passover. I mean, when they had all the ships locked up in the Suez Canal, it was a few years ago, and they had it, because they had it all closed off. They had all those ships in there, all those cargo containers. They were looking for all those Christian people that they're shipping to. They're shipping to Rotterdam, and then from Rotterdam, they would ship it to Israel. And those are the ones they would sacrifice and put their blood over their over their doors and everything. It's like, and then put in their bread. And it's like, these people are diabolical. It's like, our God didn't say to sacrifice an animal for him to come back, or no, he said, love one another. He'll be back when the time's right, And right now we're in the little season of the little Satan season. And just by looking at BB and looking at his, I don't know what the hell that thing is. Sarah is that thing, but they look beyond demonic. Like, these people there's no fixing them. There's no, any kind of asylum or mental institution you could send them to. They're beyond repair, because they're always going to keep their religion, which is pure Satanism. And that's what the communists go by. And that's why we're having a problem with communists here. It's all funded by the same ones. even down to the No Kings protest. We're going to go over in the next show that you can even see where, bend the arc, Jews were financing it, and the teachers' unions and everything. It's like, so we paid for it. Cute.
Yeah. Well, I know this show is going to end in a minute, but Jason, what I'm kind of concerned about, not actually, I'm very concerned about it, is a false flag right here in the United States by the Mossad or their backers, wherever they are. And the USS Liberty, if we would have sunk, the American people have been crying for a lot of blood, and it all been Arab blood, and they would have got it. And right now, if this happens, and I'm afraid it is, I just wake up every day and pray it doesn't. Innocent American lives aren't taken again, as it was on 911 USS Liberty, Marine Barracks, all of them, and probably stuff we don't even know about, Jason.
Yep.
Don't know about, but I know this show is about Ron Kukal, and I'm so proud of you and Dina for sharing your love for him and respect, and for all the crew. I mean, you guys are stand-up, solid, stalwart people, and we love you for that. We really do. Thank you.
And I mean, and for me, it's our duty. I mean, I really do appreciate kind words and everything, and we really do. But thing is, like, guys, this is America. These are Americans. This is what this is our duty to take care of one another. If there's injustice in the world and we know it, then we have to expose it. I don't care who gets hurt. If it's, oh, well, this, oh, well, you can't piss off Israel. I don't really care at this point. Is it 100% pro-America or is it not? And everybody that's sitting here saying, oh, you have to support Israel. No, you have to support the United States. Because when people find out that Israel is complicit and paid for the invasion of our southern border along with Catholic charities, that's going to piss them off even more. So when is it going to get to a point where, people are going to rise up and say, you know what? Fuck them and get them out of here. And they can't say blood libel. You guys literally did 9/11. Because after that, you had Department of Homeland Security with Michael Chertoff. You had all these Mossad. You had Wolfowitz, Douglas Feith. And all of them, and the Mossad had a main line right into their office at the Pentagon. It's like, the balls of these pricks. They must really think we're stupid. But through censorship and through anti-Semitism, you can't say this, you can't say that. Well, guess what? Not anymore. Because we're letting it all hang out there, and thank God for Rumble, because, if it wasn't for Rumble, we wouldn't be able to get a lot of this stuff out. Because YouTube was stopping all of that early on, but now they've actually, lightened up ever since that Susan Wojcicki died or was, executed or whatever. But, I mean, we cannot thank all of you enough, your families, your immediate families, your extended families, because they all understand your pain, and we do too. And that's what makes us one massive family. That's what makes us Americans, is that we look at our own and we say, you know what, we take care of our own. But then yet they want to keep on bringing illegals in and saying, oh, people are, no, these aren't people. They don't want to assimilate into the American society. They have no compassion. They have no just respect for one another. And you start noticing that, even after the after the jab, the whole COVID jab, the vaccines, it's like, why is it that there's only one nation state in the world that actually went up in population during that time? and it was Israel. Every place else dropped because all of a sudden you start seeing people dying off, dropping off. You're having little kids having heart attacks and, these blood clots. I'm like, you guys, they did it too. They bragged about it. We have it on video. They don't care. They hate us. But yet, if you say something out of line, well, you're going to lose your seat. They're going to go ahead and take the money. They're going to primary you. And that's just what they do. It's like, why do we let somebody have that much control over our house? And then when they find out that 2020 was rigged and it wasn't by Russia, it was by Israel, so that they could pull all this off, them in Ukraine, because Ukraine's just a sublet of Israel. They're both one and the same. And Israel shipping, all those, the 69 Patriot missiles, the Patriot missile batteries over to Shanghai, and they got caught. It's like, but why don't they get dinged for that? And they were all, it was in the MS Thor Liberty, and it got stopped in the Finnish port of Kotka. And when they boarded it, they found that all of the Patriot missile, all the Patriot missile systems, they're all like packaged up in like these, like it wasn't packed like it was like a military packet. It's like everything's tightened up and everything's on. It's in box labeled fireworks. And yet, nothing was done about that. Same thing with Israel. Israel sent a bunch of our Patriot missile batteries over to Ukraine. It's like, did we give them permission to? So when we start sending these arms to Ukraine, well, who's getting it? Are they shipping it over to? Because they say they're not getting the money. So who's getting the money? Israel? Because somebody's getting paid here. And with all the dirty stuff going on with the bioweapon labs and all the, how can you say it? The surrogacy issues in Ukraine underground that they're, paying people to have kids and then they just come out missing. So there's a problem with this. Because we sit here and say there's 300,000 missing kids. Remember, these kids are undocumented. How many more are there? And then still, about that tunnel, the bloody mattress in that synagogue in that tunnel. Nobody's ever given us an answer about that. But yet what they do, they put Jessica Tishin as the New York police commissioner. And her uncle, Lawrence Tish, is the one that founded the mega group of the Jewish billionaires that control pretty much the U.S. by the balls with the, they use like, McKinsey and Company, Bain and Company and all that, because our lawmakers don't write the laws. Other people write the laws because even when Nancy Pelosi said, well, we have to sign it so we know what's in it. This isn't like a contract on your iPhone for an app. This actually has ramifications to it. But they don't do their job. Because they're just told what to vote for, they get the money, and that's it. So when they say United States of Israel, it's coming to an end. And that's why when President Trump talks about our golden age of America, you know who else had a golden age in 1492 or 1493? Spain. Why? Because they threw them all out. They threw all the Jews out. Once and for all. So when they talk about this golden dome above the United States, it's like, oh, this is great. It's exactly what he's doing. He's talking to us in ways that, and they told us like, hey, you have to understand how they're talking to us because they can't just come out and say it or make it easy for them because if they're watching and we're watching, it's like we have to think, at that NSA level and all these higher levels and just by clues and all of us coming together and, just bring all the information in and seeing what we have and what we can figure out. Then you start seeing like all these other things they've done. It's like, well, Israel's not mentioned here once, but they're the root cause of everything. So is it everything they're a part of? And unfortunately, I believe yes, because they've done this to every country. They go in, they completely ruin it, with the Noahide laws and this Chabad Lubavitch and Mendel Schneers, that Rabbi Schneerson. And it's like, guys, they're so hell bent on bringing, because everybody's like, oh, Jesus is coming back, this and that. It's like, guys, we have to get out of that mindset. They want to bring back Satan. It's exactly what they're doing. They're all the witchcraft and all the filth. It's like, do we want to be associated with that? That they come out and said that they're going to build the most moral concentration camp in Rafah to put 1.5 million people in. It's literally the size of, probably the size of a small town. Not even. The whole size of Israel is like the size of New Jersey. So, you're talking like maybe a county, not even a county, for 1.5 million people. And they have nowhere to go. They're surrounded completely by borders, and then they don't have any water rights. Because now Israel came out and said that, oh, well, Hamas Navy. I'm like, oh, God, I cannot wait to see this Hamas Navy. Because, with the Air Force, with, them flying little paragliders over a wall, nothing to see here. And it's all of this combined into one, that it's proof that they lie about everything. But unfortunately, I do believe that it had to go this far with the genocide for people to actually wake up and say, just like Patton said we were fighting the wrong enemy, picked the wrong side. Just like now, same thing. But we're not picking sides. We said, hey, we're going to do this in Iran. Cool. We know they didn't have any nuclear weapons. They had 60% enriched, but theirs was all, medical. They weren't building weapons for anything like that because they were signed to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel never signed it because they said that they didn't have any. But they got all the uranium from us. They stole it from us and from Argentina and, in South Africa. They're running shit out of South Africa. They're doing all their testing down there just to keep it away. So that's why you have apartheid magically back in South Africa, because they will even say it themselves that the black population is easier to control than the white population. So that's why they much rather deal with them than us. And that's a shame that they just do this to manipulate us over and over and over. So just one thing after next. So when are you starting your podcast, Phil?
In 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks from now. I'm getting everything set up. Got all my cameras and sound equipment and lights and everything. So it takes a little bit of going, as you well know.
Oh, it does.
To get it. I'm not that swift on it, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. It's a lot, but if you need any help, you can always contact us. And we're still, in the learning phase of it all, but when it comes to Zoom and all that, it's pretty easy to navigate around. But like I said,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If there's anything we can help with at all, that phone's always open, and we're definitely there for all of you.
Well, I appreciate it, no doubt. And, I keep on thinking about October the 7th. You couldn't get a kitten on that property without them knowing it.
Yep.
October 7th. And here we go back. Let's go back to December 7th, 1941.
Yep.
You talk numbers, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense.
And then you notice that President Trump had Bibi here twice since he's been in the White House. April 7th was the first day, be the 17% tariffs. It's like, so wait a second. We're giving you guys billions of dollars a year, and yet you have tariffs on us. Trump wanted to make sure you knew that. And that was on 4/7/2025. Well, that's a 9/11. Because April's the fourth month, 4 plus 7 is 11, 2025 is always 9. There's your 9/11. Then he summons them back exactly 3 months later on July 7th to come and meet with them. Well, April 7th from October 7th is 18 months. There's your 666. But then Trump always loves that 21. 7/7/25 is exactly 21 months. 7/7/7. He's doing this all by the numbers, and he's owning every single one of them. And they like to play the long game. It's like I don't think people truly understand just the sheer magnitude of just getting the whole Q operation off the ground. Because there's a lot of stuff in the Q drops that are happening right now that you're like, how in the hell did they know this 7 years ago? It's like, because, well, you've got all this technology, but remember, this is good versus evil. So yes, our creator and all the angels, Archangel Michael, they're all here. They're all helping. Nobody knows who they are. They could be any of us. But we're just doing our thing because we don't have that egotistical part of us. Because it's, the whole we not me, and it's like we're as a collective. We go all together. But not them. Because they throw it at us. It's like, oh, they deceive, they cheat, they lie, they steal everything. But they have 1 ounce of morality and 0 dignity. But they don't care. They don't have compassion or anything. Because if you're shooting kids with a sniper rifle and you're just blowing off their hand or their leg and shooting innocent animals, it's like, no, they're not human. They don't belong here. This is our world, not theirs. So, yeah, you have anything else you like to say, Phil? Anything coming up? Any other shows that you're going on, or any of them that you've been on?
Well, I've got some coming up. I'm supposed to be speaking at the now I even forgot the name of it. I got it on my calendar. The John Birch Society. They
Okay.
want me on there, and there's several others, but I've had to turn down a few. I've been sick, as you know, for a month. But I'm getting over it now. But that took me back a little bit. But I'm getting in full speed again, and I'm very thankful for that, because this is something that I'm passionate about. I must do. I have to do it. It's just like it's not like a plague. It's like a blessing, and I see the blessing in it, and that's one of the reasons God kept me alive. Maybe He had a purpose for me way back then. But with technology, we're going to be able to bust that bubble, and once it opens up, people will see everything, and that's the goal of USS Liberty veterans. We want to have the truth told and have our day in court, and that will break the straw, break the back of the passionate attachment to Israel and their surrogates. It will break them. It will bust them, and it will hurt our country too, because they were in on it, for our country to cover it up. So that tells you how infiltrated we are right now. That's why I worry about a false flag, blaming somebody else, done by the Mossad. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. But other than that, no, I guess I've said about all I need to say. But yeah, thanks for your offer for help and everything. I really appreciate it. You and Dean have just been fantastic, and I always think about you guys.
We're always here for it. And everybody in the chat, everybody watching at home, I mean, every single one of us are, all on your side. And
well, I appreciate it. Well, there's one thing I do want to say. We got a wonderful gift from We Not Me, a lady out there, with a bunch of crosses. And we've already given them out to our grandchildren, children, and things like that. So they're used very, very well. And thank you. God bless you for that. And it was much appreciated. Thank you.
thank you so much. And yeah, I have no idea who sent them, but whoever sent them, thank you so much. And I think we'll sign off with this one with a prayer from Ron. Man, this
To bring up our shipmates, and it's something that I still have nightmares about, and it's just something that you have to live with. It's PTSD, but I'm being treated for it. But my family, I couldn't talk about it for years. We were on a gag order, and my whole working life was in support of the National Security Agency. I did 21 years in the Navy and 22 years as a defense contractor. So I needed that top secret clearance so I could support my family. So I wasn't going to say a word, even though we were told, we shouldn't. But then we started seeing books come out, and I thought, I don't know, maybe it's time. And it was actually a phone call to you, Ron, that got me started in 2016 or 2017, when I started opening up and talking about it. And as Phil said, I got motivated, and I wrote letters. I did everything possible to try and get recognition and get the truth out. So
You've certainly done that, Larry. You've certainly done that. I'd love to, if we're going to close, Jason, I'd very much like to close it in prayer.
please do.
Father, thank you for being with us today. And we know that you are here. We know that you have accomplished so much with us. And we were so happy to do your bidding, to give you the credit and us be the instrument. Whatever Jason and Adina decide to do to get this out, I know that you'll direct their path and things will be done as they should be done. So I lift this entire thing up to you, Lord, as we leave here today. And I ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
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 I mean, that just
His memory lives on.
that it does. And yeah, so yeah, I want to thank you so much, Phil, for spending some time with us. And anytime you want to come back on, more than welcome to. We get Mickey and Larry, and we discuss this even more because I know we didn't. I know Mickey had more stuff to say as well, and Larry as well. And I know I think Mickey was having computer problems, so maybe we can have him back on, and they could. But yeah, today I just yeah, that one when Dina told me, I'm like, no, it's sucks. Is what it does.
Yeah, it does. But all we can do is go on his memory and be strong, and it makes me stronger, knowing that life is that fleeting, and of course it is for everybody. You never know what's going to happen from one minute to the next. But every minute you're here, you got to make it count. If you don't, you're wasting your life, and that's the path I'm on.
Yeah, and I mean, we love you guys so much for it because you know, not, I would have never thought that we would even have a chance to even talk to anybody from the USS Liberty because, usually, you get, some people, they can't talk about it or they don't want to talk about it. It's like, like anybody that went to Vietnam, they mention it once and it's like mum's the word. And because it brings up a lot of just old feelings and old sentiments. But this one we have to bring out because justice has not been done at all.
No,
And
when you see your brothers murdered in cold blood, I mean heinous cold blood, and you tell your government what happened, and then they admonish you for it, and let the murderers get by with cold-blooded murder of Americans on the high seas, and they got more money from America by murdering Americans on the high seas than they ever got in their entire existence from the Johnson administration. And it's continued ever since to this very moment. And with that, I guess I'll just be quiet for the rest of the day.
and so I want to thank everybody for coming in today. And I know today was a hard one.
Yeah.
But Ron, all of you deserve this. I hate even calling it recognition, but this has to get out there. And Ron, that's why later on at 4 o'clock at 3 hours, I'm having another show because I didn't want to go from this show and then just go on like nothing happened because this, it takes a while to like, decompress from this because it's like just, because there's sometimes you just want to scream, put your fist through something, but if you just keep it, level heads and just keep with the information and just pushing it out there, that's the best thing we could do right now and keep fighting for everybody that lost their life on the USS Liberty and everybody that's still dealing with the after effects. And if everything must be brought to light, this is one of the biggest ones that need to be brought to light because it proves that the CIA is complicit, Israel's complicit, Mossad, all of them, and even our own government. And it'll prove that we've been infiltrated beyond a shadow of doubt by the same ones that start screaming victimhood. Just so, I want to thank you so much today, Phil, and we will see you guys again in about 3 hours at 4 o'clock p.m. Central. So, all right, love you, brother.
Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.